How do you do, folks? This is going out on New Year's Day, so let me start by wishing all my subscribers a pleasant and successful year. I'd even wish you luck, but I don't trust the post, so when that luck is likely to arrive, Lord only knows. We need not only luck here in Portugal, but some people in government who have brains. Even some brains would be better than none. I think there is the same problem in the UK. As for the USA, what the hell is happening over there, guys? Gosh, I'm even tempted to write new words to that US First World War song called Over There, but turn the direction right round. With that in mind, anyway, I ended last week's blog with a question. When is the uprising planned? It seems it's getting close to boiling point in California. You guys have not only my deepest sympathy, but my support. Not much good when I live in Europe, but I wish you strength and success. Now, back to real estate. Over the Christmas period, somebody asked me what she should invest in to get ahead and cope with the future in these troubled times. I asked her what assets she already had, because one first needs to know what one is coming out of before deciding what to go into. Before I could answer, someone else suggested investing in banks, and then in real estate. I didn't think the time was right. He came back with that old chestnut, but house prices always go up, which of course is absolute rubbish, and if you stick with me, I'll prove it. This developed into an argument, and I gave copious examples that buying and selling at the right time was the way to make money in real estate rather than just buying and holding. The comeback was that, oh yes, but over the longer term, house prices always rise. This idea is so ingrained in the communal mind that I thought I'd try and deal with the subject in one of these video blogs. First, I don't have to go further than my own experience. Someone bought a 3-bed property on the seafront in Sussex for £47,000. Only a few years later, they sold it to me, fully furnished, for £21,000. I see. House prices always go up. Admittedly, I eventually sold the place for £130,000, but I bought and sold at the right time. I once did some searching and found that, adjusted for inflation, house prices in the UK in 1947 were roughly the same, adjusted for inflation, as they were in 1760. So, over the course of nearly 200 years, house prices went up? Yeah, very funny. In the end, I decided to ask my critic how long a period was a long time. He asked me how far back I wanted to go. I suggested 800 or 900 years would do, and that seemed to satisfy him, and he agreed. I then asked him how he wanted me to price the properties. Well, in money will do, he answered, which actually wasn't quite the answer I expected, but I agreed. Before I go on at this stage in the video, I'll show you some pretty pictures while you think about and answer a simple question. Who is going to win this argument? Will house prices show a greater increase than the value of money over the course of 900 years? And while we're on the subject, a second question. Are houses a good investment right now? Okay. Welcome back. It so happens there is a property for sale in the unique property lists at this very moment. I chose it because it is rather larger than usual, especially in terms of surrounding land. It's got 8 acres. It's vacant, It needs a lot of work doing to it to make it properly habitable, but the building's sound. It also has drainage, running water, bathroom, and electricity. None of those things would have been available 900 years ago. The main thing is that the property is similar, though a bit smaller than one listed for valuation in southwest England for the princely sum of £13. That's 1-3. £13 in the Doomsday Book, and that of course is dated 1086. Our task is to work out who would have done better in our investment race. I claimed that the best bet would be to invest in a bank or the equivalent of bonds. If I'd loaned a bank £13 in 1086 and let the interest build and build, how much would I have 935 years later? And would that sum be more than the current sale price of the property in Devon, which is currently for sale at £780,000? Well, it didn't take me long to program my trusty spreadsheet to produce the answer. All I needed to do was to multiply the interest by the number of years. Now, the average interest across the whole period was between 6% and 7% per annum. I did the figures using the lesser percentage. The figure I ended up with after all those years was so large I didn't know how to classify it. I therefore did a second sum using 19th century government bonds, that's consols, which had a coupon of 3%. Even using that figure, I ended up with more money than there is in the world today. 11 quadrillion. That's 11 fronting 12 zeros. Owning property, even for the very, very long term, is not the best investment. But let's also look at the very short term. Let me take the example of a property I currently own. It is a 2-bedroom detached bungalow overlooking a 4-acre pond with open country beyond. It is 4 miles from 3 motorways, 2 miles from the nearest rail station and the metro, and there is a 30-minute bus service within 500 yards. It's in a London borough. Its current estimated value is £350,000, and it currently rents for £1,100 a month. There's a 300-yard walk to the car park, and that's what knocks down the value a bit. Okay, now let's do some maths. I have an asset bringing in just over £13,000 a year. If I sold the place and invested the money in something else, I'm spoilt for choice. The investments I'm looking at bring in anywhere between 7% per annum up to even 27% per annum. Well, what I've decided to do is choose a non-contentious 10% return, which is low risk, and this means that if I invested the $350,000 I would be receiving as a payout, I've got that all wrong, I'll start again there. This means that if I invested the $350,000 from the sale of the house, I would be receiving a payout of just under $3,000 a month. That nearly triples my income. What on earth would I want to keep the house for? I'd be mad to keep it. Think of the costs, the insurance, cost of remedial works, general upkeep. I'd be clean off my chump if I bought it for the asking price as an investment. But will it rise in value? Come on, how long before its value beats my improved income and standard of life? No thanks. At $3,000 a month, I can afford full board in a suite at a very nice 4-star hotel and move on to another when I fancy a change of scenery. No more mowing the lawn, no more doing the washing up. I even get my bed made, and when the shower goes on the blink, I ring for room service. Invest in property, it always goes up in value. What a load of nonsense. Next week, I'm going to do the sums again, using a much more realistic valuation method. The trouble with taking straightforward money is that in the modern era, money has lost its value at an alarming rapid rate. And I think we ought to factor that into the calculations. There is one other factor that needs to be accounted for, and that is, over the course of my lifetime, the way one buys a house has drastically changed. Nowadays, people don't pay outright for a house purchase. They pay, as my auntie used to say, on the never never. How does that affect valuations? Well, the answer to that question is very interesting. Tune in again next week, and we'll find out. See you then.